Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. We're a bit overdue for an update. It's been about a month since I last talked about my baby bichir that have been going on here in my fish room. So I just want to give you guys a new update. I guess we're going to start off with the bad news. Might as well just rip off the band-aid. Bichirs are often referred to as dragons, so it seemed only fitting that because I had three baby dragons, that I would name them after three popular dragons. Drogon, Rhaegal, and Viserion are three popular dragons from Game of Thrones. Unfortunately, spoiler alert, they ended up going just about the same fate as they did in the show. So it's kind of hard to tell what exactly went wrong without doing some kind of autopsy or something that, I'm just not going to do. But two of them just didn't keep growing like the third one did. The third one, it kept growing. It's about 2.5 inches now. It always had a really healthy appetite and would eat just about everything that I gave to it. I can't really say exactly what the issue was with the two that died, other than just speculation. But I'm guessing that it was something to do with a developing issue and something to do with organ failure. Because the first one that died, I didn't see when it died. However, the second one that died, I did see it, and it didn't go easy. There was a lot of erratic movement, some twitching, things that might be consistent with organ failure. And honestly, it was just a really hard watch. And that's pretty much all that needs to be said about it. And I'm really, really fortunate and happy to still have that third one. And I will tell you, I am doing everything I can to make sure it lives. I'm doing everything I can to give it as much food as I can, as much of a varied diet as it's possibly taking. Now, when it comes to the black worms, it'll eat those all day long. It'll eat a ton. And I'm always making sure I have an excess of black worms in the container so that it's always able to just graze on whatever it wants whenever it wants to. Another thing I've been doing is trying to get a little bit of a mix of frozen food in there. When it was a little smaller, maybe around the 1.5 to 2 inch range, I was introducing it to frozen mysis shrimp, and it seemed to be eating those. However, it was really hard to track. The container is white and the mysis shrimp are white also, so it was kind of difficult to see how much of it was actually eating if I didn't see it actually eat it myself. I did try to feed it some small pellets, and the best way that I could track that was I would add 10 really small pellets in like a straight line, and then I'd come back later and I would try to count them because they would end up being moved around wherever, just because there is a little bit of a flow. And as he swims around the tank, his tail fans stuff around, so they get moved around quite a bit. But I would count them, so I made sure I started with 10, and then I'd come back later and it looked like sometimes I'd have like 7 or 6. So I think he was eating some of those smaller pellets. So I always make sure I have a couple little pellets in the bottom, and I do remove all food at the end of the day and I replace it. So he was eating baby blackworms, or I guess just not baby blackworms, but live blackworms, frozen mysis shrimp, and then I was feeding all kinds of assorted pellets that were just somewhere in that size range, around the 1 millimeter or smaller range. So for the pellets that he was eating, or at least what I think he was eating, there's two different types. So one of them was the Aquarium Co-op Community Pellet. That's one of the two newer foods that Aquarium Co-op put out, and it's not the super small one that used to be called Nano, and now it's like the small fish food. He was eating the Community Pellet, which is like one size up. The other pellets that he was eating were the Dr. Basileir Forte pellets, and those were the extra large size, but don't let that name fool you. The extra large is very, very small still. It's like 1 or 2 millimeters. They're really small. Since it's been about a month since I've shown anything about this, and it actually is pretty hard to take a good look at him because I keep him in this container with a pretty large handful of moss. If you've caught me showing him off on a live stream, you'll see that I try to use like a little piece of airline to move some of the moss out of the way to try to find where he is in the container. The moss gets in the way. I haven't really gotten a good look at him, and I haven't gotten a good measurement of him ever since I found him. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to catch him out of the fry box and put him into a catch cup, and that'll give me a good opportunity for one, to clean this box, because I try to clean it with a turkey baster as much as I can, but there's only so much I can do without just dumping the whole thing out. So It's going to give me a good opportunity to clean that box. And also it's going to give me a really good opportunity to get this fish into a catch cup and then try to get some good photos and videos of it, and just try to get some good observations of what it's looking like, how it's growing, what its colors and the patterns are looking like, because that's something that I really am trying to keep a close eye on. So let's go ahead and get that done. I've got this little guy in my catch cup, and what I'm seeing right now is just completely blowing my mind. So I had to send some pictures and some video out to a few other experts for verification, but this is very clearly not a standard baby ornate bichir. You can see how it has some of the similar colors and patterns of like a young upper jaw ornate. However, it has a lot of darker contrasted areas and the head shape of a very distinct lower jaw. This settles all of the doubts and answers all the questions I had when I discovered this fish in my sump. This is in fact a super rare hybrid crossbreed of an ornate and an Enley, and I cannot believe that this is in my house right now. So now we have some good news about this fish. It's not exactly what I thought it was going to be at the very beginning. I was always a little bit speculative of what it was, but I think ultimately this just makes it way more cool and way more rare. I did a lot of research on this, and it turns out that these are so rare, they almost never occur in nature, and the only really known instances of this happening was actually in a laboratory. Pretty much the only documented source of ornate and Enley hybrid fry existing is from a laboratory in Japan in like the early 2000s, like somewhere around the 2000 to 2010 range, where they were actually created by artificially injecting hormones into the fish to make them breed. So the fact that this happened in my tanks without doing anything like that is kind of a little bit of a miracle. Because I have such a unique opportunity that just landed right here in front of me, and because these fish are so rare, and I'm kind of blessed with this, I'm going to go ahead and take the next steps and actually make an official breeding project where I'm going to document and journal everything that I can. I'm going to have it all available here on YouTube, and I'm also updating a forum post on the Aquarium Co-op forums. You can find sources online of people breeding Senegal bichirs, but you can kind of sometimes find some bigger bichirs breeding, but you almost never see bichirs where it's documented of them interbreeding, and then even then you don't see breeding between upper jaw and lower jaw species like I have here. So this is so incredibly rare, and there's almost no documentation on it. So I have a new goal in mind. I'm going to document, record, and log every single bit along the way. Any kind of information that I can figure out, you know, everything from water pH to temperature, anything to do with the water conditions, everything I'm feeding, both the parents and the fry when I get them, you know, everything that I can do to log the process for everybody at home to be able to recreate this if they want to. There's really not enough documentation about this out there, so that's part of my goal, is to get some more information out there for all the other hobbyists that want to do this. To be able to get all of this done the way I want to get it done in the most proper way, it's going to be no easy feat. There's a few things I've already done to get started and to prepare for this project I'm going to be doing, but then there's also a few things that I still need to get done. So first of all, when it comes to what I'm going to do when I get all these fry, I need way more food. So I have my black worm culture. You can't see, it's way off over here. It's a 10-gallon tank, and I've doubled that. So now I have 2 tanks with black worms in them, 1 for redundancy, and 2, I just need way more worms. The biggest problem from the start that I had with these 3 was that I was able to get some black worms, but I was feeding them faster than they were reproducing. And I was doing everything from cutting them and trying to get them to replicate faster, and the population was still just not catching up. Apparently I need to invest in some new camera batteries as well, because that battery just died, so new clip. So the next thing I needed to invest in is a new tank for these fish to actually do the breeding in. Now, because I have 2 female Enleys and 1 male ornate, I basically have a bichir trio. But the difference between a trio with like guppies or any other live bear or something like that is you could breed those in like a 10-gallon or a 20-gallon. But these are big fish. My Enleys are about 2 feet long each. The ornate is about 1 foot. I'm looking at them right now, and they are massive. So I can't just put them in like a 40-gallon or something. I thought about trying to do a 75 gallon just because it would be a little bit less space to keep them close together and for them to be able to see the spawning mop and things like that. But I ultimately decided that that wasn't going to be enough room, especially for the bigger girls. They're just way too big for a 75. That wouldn't be right. So I invested in a 120 gallon 5 foot tank. You can't see it, it's right here behind me, but there's nothing to see. It's just a 5 foot tank. It's empty. And, I need to go ahead and start outfitting that. The next thing I need to invest in is a way to very easily filter everything. So I could do a canister in this 5 foot tank, but I think I'm going to end up with too much flow. And even with a sponge or a guard on the intake, I don't want to risk anything getting sucked in there. Also, I could potentially have anywhere from 3 eggs like I had before to 100 eggs. So my two female Enleys over here, they're large and they're like 9 years old each. So, there's a potential where I could have 100 or more eggs come from them. So I need to be able to filter many, many, many containers at once. And the best way that you could do that efficiently is with air. I'm currently using so many different small air pumps. Some of them are 2 outlet, some of them are 4 outlet. But a common thing across almost all of them is none of them have all of their outlets working. That's a big pain in the butt because I'm missing many air outlets that I could be using to filter some of the other tanks. And, I have enough empty outlets at this point where I could be filtering an entire other rack, but I can't because those outlets just don't work. And the other thing is every single one of those different air pumps is using some kind of power. So a couple of them are like the Aquarium Co-op battery pumps where they are actually USB powered. And I have a power brick that has USB ports on it on top of the regular 120 volt outlets. So that was a little bit of a space savings. But over there, on my big rack up here, where I've got a bunch of breeding and apparently a lot of algae, I have every single outlet full, and I need more of those outlets open to put some heaters up there. And it's just every one of those outlets is full, and a lot of them are wasted on air pumps that are like barely working. So in order to get more air in here and then filter all of my air systems that I already have way better, and to free up all these electric outlets, I went ahead and invested in this. So this is a linear air piston pump. I got this one from Aquarium Co-op. This is the LA45C. And I bought this myself. Every single one of these upgrades I've been getting have been paid for by the channel members and the people that have been watching my videos, giving me ad revenue, all the super stickers and all the super chats, everything like that that have been interacting with me on live streams. All of that has been basically completely channel crowdfunded. So for that, I'm extremely, extremely thankful for all of you that have helped support this channel in one way or another. All of those things matter, especially the people that are channel members and directly giving to the channel. Those have been the biggest help, and thank you every single one of you that are channel members. But again, even the people that are just watching the videos and, adding views to the channel, all of that is generating ad revenue. And because of that, I was able to buy this 5 foot tank behind me, and I was able to buy this linear air piston pump so that I could do this entire project. There's really so much I need to get done. I need to get this tank set up. I need to run air everywhere in this room. So I need to get going. But again, thank you everybody that has helped make this happen. And if you're interested in becoming a channel member, the link is down below. I'm going to start putting all the channel member names at the end of all of my videos. But thanks so much, everybody. I'm going to go get some work done. I'll see you in the next one.